we go.
Boy reviews.
Bueller. Hello, Born Review Nation. Gabe.
Nick. Somewhere.
Nick.
Where am I at?
All right. You know what? It's May 4th. May the 4th be with you. So it looks like I'm going to have to use a little force power to get Nick in this video. Hold on.
Come on, man. I thought you had the force.
I got to tap into the dark side.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, here I am. All right.
Woo, that was taxing.
Talk about some skills right there, man. Even the Sith have the powers, obviously.
The Sith are the strongest. Come on, we've established this already.
So tell the people why we're here and what we're doing today and the big challenge that we have, especially for you, my friend.
All right, guys. Look, Star Wars is everywhere, right? It's just not for kids. It's not for adults. It's part of pop culture, okay? You hear about it in movies, television shows. I mean, you can't forget about just Disney Plus, which has an animated series, and now everybody's all excited about The Mandalorian. But again, Star Wars is part of pop culture, and you can be around and just have a random conversation of 10 people at work, and I guarantee you 5 of them are Star Wars fans. So for those of you that have not watched all 30 hours of episode 1 through 9, including the 2 spinoffs, we should say, we're gonna do today what got many of us through college, and that's we're gonna make a Cliff's Notes version of Star Wars. All right, we're gonna give you the entire series, the entire saga in 30 minutes. Okay, now in order to do this, Nick has tasked me to stay under 3 minutes per movie.
He's not going to be able to do it. I already know it.
Oh, so I'm gonna do my best to do so, but we don't want to waste too much time. We're gonna give you this is a crash course, okay? So, like, man, I didn't study for whatever. Let's say Econ 227. Let me look up the Cliff Notes for this class. That's what you're giving you right now.
We're gonna get you an A, ladies and gentlemen.
At the very minimum, a B minus, passing grade. It's acceptable.
All right. So, do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You know what? I will let you go first because, of course, you are the bigger expert, and ultimately, your pacing is much more quicker than mine. So,
all right. So I'm gonna hit my timer under 3 minutes. Let's go. Here we go. All right. Episode 4, A New Hope, wasn't always called A New Hope, but it was after a few years. Episode 4 was directed by George Lucas, and it has our main characters, Han Solo. He is a smuggler pilot. We have Chewbacca, who's his co-pilot. He's a big, hairy Wookiee. You have Luke Skywalker, who doesn't know it yet, but he's going to be trained in the Force. And you have Carrie Fisher, who's playing Princess Leia, and she is the daughter of a royalty political type guy. And so what we have is we have Darth Vader and the Empire. They are trying to show their power with the Death Star, that they can destroy one planet in one beam. And as that happens, they're able to do that. They capture Princess Leia. They want to destroy this rebel alliance that is causing the trouble. Smaller rebel alliance, they don't see it as a big deal, but it still makes them nervous. So they want to find their home base and destroy it. Princess Leia is holding off as much as she can. They destroy a planet as they are trying to do that. Luke Skywalker is bored and frustrated on Tatooine. He wants to do great and big things. He doesn't know who he is or where he came from, but he knows he's better than just a farmer. He meets up with Obi-Wan Kenobi after his parents get killed, his adopted parents, and Obi-Wan Kenobi says, I need to get to Princess Leia. This droid's asking for my help. I need your help. She needs your help. I'm going to teach you about the Force. And so he starts to train with the Force. And they meet up with Han Solo. They need a ride to get to Alderaan, where they can meet up with Princess Leia and help her out with the Rebel Alliance. On the way there, the planet gets blown up. Plans get shifted. They get caught in the tractor beam of the Death Star, and Luke realizes that Princess Leia is there. Han doesn't care because all he cares about is money, but Luke convinces him that she's rich and we can get money if we save her. So they go in to the detention block. They rescue her. All of them leave. They get away from the Death Star. They join the Rebel Alliance. Han Solo wants to get his reward money and go back to Jabba the Hutt to pay off his bounty so he's not killed. So he pieces out. Luke Skywalker's mad about it. He's moping a whole lot. He has a big crush on Princess Leia. So does Han Solo, actually. So he joins the Rebel Alliance, gets in his X-Wing. He joins the fight as the new member of their pilot attack force. They go into the trenches of the Death Star. And before it can blow up another planet where the Rebel Alliance is at, Luke Skywalker listens to Obi-Wan, use the Force, Luke, and he shoots down the missile tractor beam, not tractor beam, but the missile beam that's no longer than bigger than a Womp Rat, the 2 meters, takes down the Death Star. They celebrate. Everyone but the Wookiee gets a medal, and everyone starts clapping. It's the cheesiest ending in any Star Wars movie, but there is episode 4.
Woo! That was impressive.
2 minutes, 38 seconds, brother.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna give you the original trilogy, and then I'll start with the prequels because that was impressive. Go ahead. You can take The Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith.
All right, so we have Empire Strikes Back, which, spoiler alert, my favorite Star Wars movie. Starts off with the Rebel Alliance. Luke Skywalker has gotten higher in the ranks. And I forgot to mention in A New Hope, Han Solo comes back to save Luke Skywalker so they can blow up the Death Star. So he comes back as a hero as well. They are higher in the ranks, general, commander, all that kind of stuff. But Luke Skywalker gets taken by this abominable beast when he's trying to find these rogue robots from the Empire that's trying to find the secret base, which is on Hoth, the snowy planet. So Han Solo sacrifices himself once again, gets a little more of a heroic person, finds Luke. Luke gets away from the beast, almost freezes to death. Han Solo finds him, takes him back. At this time, the Empire has found Hoth and has found the rebels, so they are willing to go there and attack them with their forces. So Luke and all those forces are trying to escape in the transports. Luke and his friends are trying to fight off the Empire so they can get away. Eventually, most of them do get away. Luke gets away, and he gets a message from dead Obi-Wan to go to Dagobah and train from Yoda. That's right, the famous Yoda. This is where we meet him in episode 5. Luke goes to Dagobah. He's looking for this great warrior Jedi, and he meets a tiny little Muppet who turns out to be Yoda. He gets trained by Yoda. Yoda teaches him how to use the Force and not be so impulsive, not be so emotional, like Darth Vader, who used to be a Jedi but turned bad. And so Luke goes through his training. He's flipping over, branches on the floor. He's moving rocks with his mind. He's getting a little more buff. He's being a little more humble, but he's still whining. In the meantime, Darth Vader is obsessed now with this young Skywalker. Who is this guy? We got to find him. He's on his hunt. We get a little bit of a glimpse of the Empire, who's in charge of the whole Empire, the Emperor, who's in charge of the Empire, trying to come after him. And so there's the hunt for Luke Skywalker. In the process, you got Princess Leia, Han Solo getting closer and getting lovey-dovey and arguing. C-3PO's with them, driving them crazy. They meet up with Lando, who is the coolest cat in the universe. They get to Lando because they need some fuel. They need some help. Their hyperdrive is down. They can't go into light speed. And so Lando says, sure, I'll help you out. He's one of the gambling friends of Han Solo way back in the day. He has conned his way to being in charge of the Cloud City, brings him in. Before he knows that, Darth Vader was already there. It was a trap. They capture Leia. Lando sells them to Darth Vader to save himself and save his planet. And then Luke gets his premonition through the Force, ends his training. Yoda says, please don't go, don't go, don't go. He goes anyways to save them into that trap. Faces off with Darth Vader, one of the best battle scenes of any time, man to man. They have a great lightsaber fight. And in that lightsaber fight, Luke Skywalker eventually is at the edge of this little precipice. Darth Vader cuts his arm off, and then Darth Vader gives the biggest spoiler of all time. Luke, I am your father.
I am your father.
He is Anakin Skywalker turned bad. Luke does not believe it, but he eventually does. Falls down with one arm, gets rescued by Princess Leia, who hears the Force. So now we say, oh, Princess Leia's got some powerful Force powers, and they get away defeated. That's over 3 minutes, but that was The Empire Strikes Back, with the Empire getting the upper hand, and the Rebel Alliance is kind of in disarray. All right. So I'm mad at myself for going over 3 minutes, but I do love that movie. Now Return of the Jedi, which was my favorite as a kid, but now it's one of my, third or fourth favorites. In Return of the Jedi, we pick up where at the end of Empire Strikes Back, Han Solo was captured by the bounty hunter, by Jabba the Hutt, and put into carbonite and taken to Jabba the Hutt as a trophy. So Luke Skywalker puts up this whole plan to rescue Han Solo. They get Chewbacca captured. They got Lando in place. They got Leia captured, pretending to be someone else, get in place so that he can go in there and save the day. Whole elaborate plan. They get Han Solo rescued. They get him out of carbonite, and the whole team's back together. They hug. They laugh. Yeah, that's great. And then Luke Skywalker leaves with his X-Wing to go back to Dagobah to finish his training with Yoda like he promised he would. There, he realizes that Yoda's dying. Yoda's old. Yoda says, "You've learned everything that you need to learn. Do well." Luke Skywalker says, "Oh, I am a Jedi. That's great." And he says, "Not yet. You still have to face Darth Vader one more time and finish that test before you can become a Jedi." As far as we know, Luke's the only Jedi in the entire galaxy, and so he's nervous about that. Leia and Han are falling in love. They go to Endor, where the Rebel Alliance is. They want to do one last fight because the Death Star is being built again, and they got to fight off the second Death Star. And so the Death Star is coming towards them. They want to go towards them at the same time and go onto this moon that is holding the tractor beam that's a force field over the Death Star. And so there's this whole battle. Ewoks get involved, little tiny teddy bears. They help out the Rebel Alliance. Luke Skywalker shows up. He realizes that he's caused a problem because Darth Vader is following him because that's his son. They have a special bond. Luke Skywalker realizes that he's bringing the Empire right to them. And so they have this big old fight. Luke Skywalker allows himself to be released, but before he does, he knows that Princess Leia is his sister, tells her, she says, "I always known," even though they made out in the movie before. That's kind of creepy. So then we get Luke Skywalker with Darth Vader. They're fighting. The Emperor's getting both their heads. He makes a big role in this. He wants Luke Skywalker to be evil. Luke Skywalker wants to turn his dad good. And so they have this big, huge battle. Eventually, they're going back and forth, back and forth. Eventually, Luke cuts off his dad's arm. He feels bad about it, realizes it's a robot arm. It's already been cut off before. And then you have the Emperor playing the master puppet strings as everyone's fighting around them to get to the Death Star to destroy it. He tells Luke that the Death Star is operational. It can destroy these planets. I'm going to destroy your friends. You're going to watch it, and you're going to turn bad and be on my side. He's over cocky. Luke Skywalker fights Darth Vader. He defeats Darth Vader, but he doesn't kill him because he's not going to turn to the dark side. The Emperor's mad, so he starts doing electric beams, force lightning on Luke Skywalker, killing him. Darth Vader can't take it. He doesn't say no the original, but he says no in the later ones. Picks up the Emperor, throws him down, and kills the Emperor to save his son because he loves his son. In the meantime, Lando's driving the Millennium Falcon, flying around to destroy the second Death Star after Han Solo takes down the shields, and all is good. They dance with Ewoks. They celebrate. The Empire is destroyed. Luke Skywalker, the Rebel Alliance, they're the heroes. They were able to finish it, and Han gets the girl. They fall in love, and all is well.
And at the very end, of course, now Darth Vader has been redeemed because he shows up as a Force Ghost along with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda, which was a perfect ending, in my opinion. Now we're going to go to the prequels. And the reason we're going to do the prequels, great job. That was impressive, Nick. Impressive. You kept it right to about 3 minutes per episode. You averaged 3 minutes an episode. All right. So with the very first episode 1, which is the Phantom, we have a young Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he at this time he's just a Padawan learner, and his master Qui-Gon Jinn. They're off onto a planet. This is Amidala's planet. Oh, how do I forget?
Naboo.
Naboo. They're at Naboo. In Naboo, they're going to make some kind of arrangement because right now the Trade Federation and the people from Naboo are having a disagreement. They get set up on the ship. After they get set up on the ship, they are able to escape from a droid battle. They end up getting to Naboo, and they meet the worst character in all of Star Wars, Jar Jar Binks. This guy drives me absolutely nuts. And anyway, he's super, super clumsy. They go to the castle, and they want to go speak with Princess Leia, not Princess Leia, Princess Amidala. They think Amidala's killed, but she actually isn't. It was her bodyguard. They sent whoa, I just messed up. That was a completely different episode. Dude. All right, sorry. All right, right here. So in any event, they get to the castle and they get to Princess Amidala, and then this is when the Trade Federation has sent in their droids. They're invading Naboo, so they have to get her out of there. They use Jar Jar Binks' help to get out of there, along with the water people or whatever. Jar Jar Binks people, the Gungans, exactly. They ask for help from the Gungans. The Gungans let Jar Jar Binks go because he's such a screw up. They don't even want him around. So this is where correct, right? So They get out of there. Obi-Wan Obi-Wan, sorry, Qui-Gon Jinn and Princess Amidala now flee the planet, but as they're fleeing, they're attacked and their ship is now deserted on Tatooine. They need to get parts to fix their ship. They don't have any money. They won't take the credits there. So that's when they go and meet this young boy who can pilot pod racers, which is a thing. And in pod racers, they gamble to see which one finishes on this planet. He's the only boy that can do it, the only human that can do it. Usually it's other aliens, I should say. In any event, they meet with this dealer who agrees to let the boy race for them so that they can win the money for their parts. If they put up their ship, they're going to split the profits. It's 50-50. The boy goes ahead and wins the race. Once he ends up winning this pod race, we find out his name is Anakin. He doesn't have a last name, just Anakin. And young Annie, obviously, because he's able to pilot these pod racers, is very, very special. So they feel he must have the force. Qui-Gon Jinn feels he has the force. So he tests his blood. He says the midichlorians is, through the roofs. So he wants to get Annie back to the Jedi Temple to get him trained as a Jedi. Okay. They win the race. They get the parts, fix the ship. They leave before they catch up with them, and he ends up taking them back to the Jedi Temple. However, they say that he cannot train Anakin because Anakin is too old. When I say they, the Jedi Council, led by Yoda, Qui-Gon Jinn defies Yoda and says, "No, I'm going to train him anyways." So he says, Obi-Wan Kenobi's ready for the trials. He's ready to be a Jedi Knight. So because they're telling him he can't have two Padawans. So Obi-Wan's headstrong and says, "Oh yeah, I am ready for the trials." They tell him no. In any event, they'll deal with it later because they still need to deal with this blockade of Naboo. Okay, Princess Amidala is tired of waiting because while people are debating in the Senate about what's going to happen, right now, her people are basically being slaughtered. And at this point is where we meet her second in command, who's fighting for her in the Senate. Okay, Senator Palpatine.
Chancellor Palpatine.
He's Chancellor at the time, right? Chancellor Palpatine. And Palpatine's telling her how the Senate is rigged and how, the Jedi Knights are no longer the powerful force that they are, and that they're allowing their people to suffer. So she asked her to call for a call of no confidence, a vote of no confidence at the Senate, which she does. So then he eventually is elected leader of the Senate. In the meantime, while he's there playing politics, she gets back on a plane, goes back home to help. When she goes back home, and I completely missed one part, when they're leaving Tatooine, the Sith do catch up with them at that point. They don't even know the Sith are around, and it's Darth Maul. There's a short lightsaber battle between Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn, but obviously Qui-Gon Jinn was lucky to get out of there. Darth Maul is very, very formidable, and he tells Yoda, the Sith are back. How could the Sith be back without us knowing? Because the Sith have been destroyed for 1,000 years, or so the Jedi thought. In any event, they get back to Tatooine. The droid army's already invaded. The Gungans are now helping against the droid army. They got their whole Gungan army that's going to go help to take out the droid army. In any event, they need to get these shields down. They need to get to the main castle, Princess Amidala's castle. And that's where you have the iconic scene of when the Jedi get there, along with you have Darth Maul there, probably the coolest lightsaber battle in all of Star Wars. Darth Maul versus Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Spoiler alert. Okay, Darth Maul wrecks them both, kills Qui-Gon Jinn, and should have killed Obi-Wan Kenobi, but of course, he got a little cocky and let that let his ego get the best of him. So as he's taunting Obi-Wan Kenobi uses the Force, gets a drop on him, cuts him in half, drops down an elevator shaft or a big mine shaft, and dies. Then we find out that he, when we're talking about Sith, there's always two, the rule of two. So which one was Darth Maul, which is exactly how the episode ends. Yoda says, well, was he the master or was he the apprentice? So they don't even know who the master is. So at the end of the day, the Gungans assist the Jedi. They defeat the droid army. All is well. And now once Chancellor Palpatine is now Senator Palpatine at the end, and he says he's very interested in following young Anakin Skywalker's career. He's going to keep an eye on him. That's episode 1. Wow.
7 minutes. 7 minutes.
7 minutes. All right. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. We have a older Anakin Skywalker who's now been in Jedi training for some time. Anakin Skywalker is very, very headstrong, but he's very, very talented. He helps Obi-Wan Kenobi out in several situations. In any event, he is now I should say he is Obi-Wan's Padawan at this time, and he has secretly been seeing Princess Amidala. Okay, they fell in love. They knew each other as kids, obviously, in episode 1, so they fell in love, but it's a secret love because, again, Jedi aren't supposed to get married or fall in love. They're not supposed to have any personal possessions, anything to that effect. Okay, so I'm getting there. The issue is still with the droids and the galactic empire. Right now, the Republic is in shambles. There's separatists that are leaving, and we're introduced to the big bad of this episode, Lord Tyrannus, who we find out was a former Jedi. He was a fallen Jedi, and in any event, Lord Tyrannus, as they call him, is working with the Droid Federation, and they're running these blockades and illegally doing things. The Jedi are sent in to investigate, and there was an assassination attempt on Princess Amidala, and that's where we find out that was her bodyguard, not actually her, that was killed. So they send in Obi-Wan and Anakin to investigate. They track down this bounty hunter or assassin, whatever you want to call her, to this bar, and Anakin and Obi-Wan go through this cool little chase scene in a space car, get into the bar, end up chopping her arm off before she can tell them who hired her. She's killed by another bounty hunter who leaves, who we later found out is Jango Fett, Boba Fett's father from the future. In any event, they take the whatever it was, that the dart that he used to kill her, and they find out that it's made on Camino. Again, we got Obi-Wan who wants to investigate. Okay. Okay. Important parts. Now I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, oh man. So, in any event, when they go to Camino, they find out that they've been working on a clone army. No, that's
You're right. The Clone Army. Yep. You're
okay.
right.
Yes,
Camino,
they find
yep.
out. They go to Camino. They find out they've been working on a clone army. That's where we first see Obi-Wan Kenobi have a battle with Jango Fett. Jango Fett escapes. He finds out that this clone army was actually ordered by a former Jedi, Jedi.
Cypher Diaz.
Cypher Diaz, but Cypher Diaz never said anything to the Jedi Council. They thought that they were making this clone army for the Jedi Council. Turns out Cypher Diaz, who was actually Lord Tyrannus, did not do it on it. He ended up doing it on his own. Okay, we find out at the end of this episode, as we're moving forward, that the big bad was a fallen Jedi. He's the one that Lord Tyrannus has been playing as Lord Cypher Diaz, and he has a battle basically with Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi. They both get served. Anakin gets his arm chopped off for the first time here. Okay. And after he gets his arm chopped off, that's when we get the very first lightsaber battle we've ever seen with Yoda. Yoda comes in to save both their lives, and Yoda is formidable. He takes down Lord Tyrannus. However, Count Dooku, Lord Tyrannus, right? But instead of Dooku cheats, because of course he uses the dark side and he's about to crush the passed out Anakin with this huge thing, and Yoda has to, use the Force to stop this big barrel, and that's the way that Count Dooku or Lord Tyrannus escape. That's episode 2.
Real quick. Cypher Diaz, just to clear it up, was not Lord Tyrannus. He was just a previous Jedi who foresaw the need for a galactic army. But everything else was perfect.
Okay.
4 minutes, so you did better.
Okay, episode 3, my favorite episode of the prequels. Okay, episode 3, we have a older now young adult. I would say he's in his 20s. Anakin Skywalker. He's become a general at this point, along with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Everyone knows that he's the best Jedi, the best swordsman. His legend continues to grow, and now he actually in episode 2 ended up marrying, Amidala. So they secretly married at this point, but of course, because of their jobs, she's a queen and she's on the Senate. He's a Jedi Knight. They don't really see each other that much. In any event, Anakin is very has a contentious relationship with Obi-Wan. That's the best way I can say it, because he thinks he's ready now to be a Jedi Knight, and he keeps saying how he's actually better than Obi-Wan.
Not just a Jedi Knight, but a Master Jedi.
But a Master Jedi at that, exactly. But, it's kind of like a father-son or a big brother-little brother relationship. In any event, they're sent to a mission, and they end up getting on the ship where we met him in episode 1, the big bad one, Count Dooku, Lord Tyrannus, and they're going to battle again. Anakin, of course, wants to run in headstrong. Obi-Wan said, no, we're going to take them together. Anakin runs in any which way, and Dooku ends up injuring Obi-Wan, but this time Anakin ends up defeating Dooku. Spoiler alert, Dooku had kidnapped the Senator Palpatine and has him there captive. Senator Palpatine, after Dooku's unarmed, both his hands are cut off and he's defenseless, tells Anakin, he's too dangerous to be left alive, kill him. Anakin looks at him and he says, do it. And Anakin chops his head off. So I was like, oh, you see a little bit of that dark side. I missed a huge part in episode 2. Sorry. Anakin's always been wanting to go back home. They don't let him go back home. He wanted to go see his mom. This is years after he's been away from his mom, because that's part of the Jedi training. So when he goes back, his mom's been and that was episode 2. Sorry, his mom's been kidnapped by the Sand People. When he goes back and find out his mom's been kidnapped by the Sand People, he saves her, but he kills an entire camp of Sand People along with women and children. Okay, now we're going back to episode 3. So we've already seen Anakin have some dark side. Episode 3, after he kills Dooku, okay, they free the senator, and Obi-Wan's disappointed because he killed an unarmed Dooku, but he thinks he's getting ready to be a full-blown Jedi Knight. So in any event, he's mad because he's not he's on the council, but he's not made a master. He wants to be a master because, again, everybody knows how great he is and how he has the highest midichlorian count of any Jedi ever. But he was made from the midichlorians, but they say he's too young, he's too impulsive, which he is, and he still has fear. And fear leads to the dark side. So fast forward, now we find out that all along Senator Palpatine, who became the Chancellor, is actually the master, not the apprentice. His apprentice was Darth Maul from episode 1. Then he took on Count Dooku as an apprentice, but he's been the master all along, and he's been twisting Anakin's mind. He's been keeping the Sith hidden from the Jedi, and his whole plan was to get the droid army to do this blockade and cause all this unrest, so that they would then have the clone army activated, so he can control the clone army, because secretly they've embedded chips in all the clones that will give the Emperor full control of each one of these clones. So we have, during this time of the clone Order 66, which is how all the Jedi died, is activated, where it means that all the clones are going to turn on their Jedi Master. At the time, Anakin discovers Emperor Palpatine is the Darth Lord of the Sith, so he actually tries to do the right thing. He goes and tells the Jedi Council. Jedi Council goes to arrest him. Okay. However, the Jedi Council, Kit Fisto is there, Mace Windu's there. They cannot take him. He is a beast. The Emperor Palpatine takes all of them on, but then of course Mace Windu overpowers him, and Mace Windu is about to arrest him, but he's going to kill him. Anakin's right there. He said, "No, you can't kill him because he thinks that he needs the Emperor in order to keep Princess Amidala alive because she's pregnant with 2 children and she's fallen ill." And he said, "Only the dark side can bring somebody back from death." Anakin tells Mace Windu no, to say he's too dangerous to be kept alive. When he goes to strike down a defenseless Emperor, Anakin intervenes, stops him, and then Mace Windu gets blown out the window by the Emperor Palpatine. Now Anakin has turned to the dark side, okay? Anakin's turned to the dark side. With Order 66, he goes to the Jedi Temple and kills all the younglings, all the students, everybody. Anakin is an absolute monster at this point. So now he goes to he goes with I'm sorry, all the Jedis are killed except for Obi-Wan Kenobi, who survives the attack on him. Yoda, who survives the attack on him, and they know they need to regroup. So Obi-Wan Kenobi follows and hides aboard Amidala's ship, who's going to go see Anakin, because once he told her what he did, she's horrified. She can't believe it. She's gonna go try to talk reason to him. So when they get on the planet, he thinks that she brought Obi-Wan Kenobi to the planet to kill Anakin. So Anakin gets mad, force chokes her, she passes out. One of the second best lightsaber battle of all time, Anakin versus Obi-Wan Kenobi. They're battling, they're parred neck and neck. Okay, Anakin is actually beating Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi gets lucky and gets the high ground. So he tells Anakin, "Don't try it. Fortune is against you here. Fate's against you. I got the high ground." Anakin says, "You underestimate my power." He goes to try to attack him, and since Obi-Wan has the high ground, chops off his legs and his arm and leaves him there for dead. As now legless and armless, Anakin Skywalker is falling into a pit of lava. He thinks he's done. He leaves the planet, takes Princess Amidala with him. Okay, she dies giving birth to 2 twins named Luke and Leia, and this leads into the original 3 episodes that Nick already covered. Wow, I love how you put that there. Okay, woo!
30 minutes or less, my Fanny. If we were Domino's Pizza, we have to give away free food.
All
right. So after this, we have we'll do the spinoffs in between. So let's get to Solo, because chronologically. So Solo, a Star Wars story. This is about Han Solo, and when he was younger. Han Solo was basically an orphan, sold into basically slavery on Corellia, and he is going around trying to steal stuff for this Lady Voss, whatever her name is, and or Praxima, whatever her name is. So he escapes his place, has a girlfriend. They want to escape. They're going. There's a cool little flying car scene. They get to the airport. They get separated. They don't get back together, and he's on his own. He enlists in the army. He's trying to get away, and that doesn't work out too well. He meets Chewbacca as he gets arrested, trying to escape in the army, meets up with Woody Harrelson and joins his smuggling gang as they're trying to steal some, I can't remember what it's called now, coaxial or something like that. They're coaxialism. They're trying to steal this so they can get some money off it. And so Han Solo joins their group, and they have this cool train scene where they're trying to steal that. At the same time, this one person, can't remember her name, she comes in with her people trying to steal the same coaxium to start her rebellion. And so she gets the better hand. They lose it. Woody Harrelson's upset. Han Solo's upset. He meets Lando. They try to get some other money so that they can pay off Dresden Voss, who is working for Crimson Dawn with this other huge gang. And as they're trying to get this other coaxium on a different planet that's not 100% put together, they have this whole battle on this planet, the Spice Planet. In the meantime, We have the Millennium Falcon we're introduced to because Lando has it. We have his robot who's really, really weird that's into Lando. And they're going in there, they're taking the stuff, they're leaving. The robot's all about robot independence. And so she gets herself killed. They download that memory into the Millennium Falcon. So the Millennium Falcon has a personality. Han Solo really likes the Millennium Falcon, so he wants it from Lando. And so they borrow it to get that stuff. The whole thing, they get this, they go on the Kessel Run in under 12 parsecs. And as they're doing that, the whole ship almost gets destroyed. But they get the coaxium to the place so they can give it to Woody Harrelson, so they can give it to Dresden Voss, so they don't get killed. And Han Solo decides, you know what, I'm not going to give it to him. I'm going to give it to this Rebel Alliance group. The person that's helped them or went against them earlier in the train thing, he gives them it. He realizes that this is not right. He betrays Woody Harrelson. He shoots first, so he doesn't not get killed by Woody Harrelson. And then he battles with Dresden Voss. He finds out that his old girlfriend is working for Dresden Voss. She's a boss now. She knows her stuff. She's fighting against this or that. She's pretending to be friends with him, but then she becomes the leader of the Crimson Dawn. We find out Crimson Dawn is Darth Maul. He survived, and he's got these droid legs. And so basically we have this situation where that money that was going to go to the crime lord to save themselves went to this Rebel Alliance so they can start, which we're assuming is the Rebel Alliance in the other movies. Han Solo meets the Wookiee. He gets the Millennium Falcon. He wins it off of Lando in a game of chance where he cheats just like Lando had cheated. And that's our origin story of Han Solo.
Okay, Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. This one, this one falls right in between the end of Episode 3 and the beginning of A New Hope. Basically, this is the beginning of the Rebel Alliance. We start seeing our main character, one of our main characters, Captain Cassian Andor, who's getting the plans that for this new weapon that the Empire is building. So right off the bat, we find out that as a rebel, you have to do things that are unsavory. His partner gets injured, can't make the escape, so he takes the information from his partner and then kills his own partner, executes him, so that the partner can't reveal that the rebels have this information. He leaves the planet. As they leave the planet, we find out that it's a weapon that's been being built now for 20 years by a very famous scientist named Urso. He works for the Empire. He was many years ago. He had left the Empire, but he's been brought back. His wife was killed. His young daughter Jin survives the attack when his wife was killed, and the Empire captures him to build the Death Star. But unfortunately, everybody else dies. Jin grows up. Jin herself is a rebel. Ends up getting caught. Excuse me, by the rebels. When she gets caught by the rebels, she says the very famous line, which is actually in the movie, "I'm a rebel, I rebel." In any event, the whole plan is, and the whole point of this movie is for Jyn Erso, Captain Cassian. They find out that the Death Star is being built, and they have to get these plans back out to the other rebels so that they can find a vulnerability to this ship. However, it's on this planet that they need to actually go and download it at the planet, and the planet is heavily fortified. Excuse me. On top of his heavily fortified, there's this shield that's constantly around the planet. So in order to be able to beam the information up to the rebels, they have to be able to take down the shield. They go there. Along the way, they meet this not Jedis, but people who use the Force as well, and they tag along with them. There's a general, a very rogue general who is on the planet. He actually raised Jyn Erso, and he is killed earlier on in the episode when they go to him to get some assistance. In any event, they get to the planet, and this is the very first Star Wars film where, guess what? Spoiler alert, everybody dies. The whole team, Jyn Erso, Captain Cassian, everybody's there, but they achieve their mission. At the very end, before the entire planet is blown up by the Death Star, they're able to beam the information up to the ship. Spoiler alert, we find out that the ship is Princess Leia's ship, and she's actually gets the information. However, the Empire boards the ship and Darth Vader boards the ship in the coolest 1 minute or 2 minute scene of all time. Darth Vader is absolutely a monster, kills everybody on the ship. Princess Leia is not able to escape, but she puts the information in one of 2 droids that then she shoots in a pod down to Tatooine, which is why it leads into episode 4, A New Hope.
Not bad, my friend. Not bad.
Yeah, I'm trying.
All right. So that leads into episode 4, New Hope. We have episode 7 of The Force Awakens. And this is a really cool movie where we get introduced to some new characters. This is 30 years after Return of the Jedi. So this is way past or New Hope. But we have Finn, who is a stormtrooper working for the Empire. He was taken as a kid, had no other choice, realized that he didn't want that kind of life, and he's not willing to fight against these civilians when they want them to shoot against some civilians as stormtroopers. And so he wants out. We have Poe Dameron, who is a hotshot pilot who's working for Princess Leia in their new Rebel Alliance. They have a different name for it. I can't remember what they call it. But he works for her, trying to get some plans on a Starkiller base. Very similar. And so then we also have Rey. She is a junker. She is a scavenger on Jakku. She's orphaned. She doesn't really know her history. She is just surviving by getting parts of old machines and vehicles, whatever, selling it just for food for each day. But she has the Force without really realizing it. So she gets mixed up. Finn gets saved by Poe. As Poe gets captured, they leave together, leave away from the First Order, which is the new incarnate of the Empire, led by Kylo Ren, one of the most awesome villains of all time, and Snoke, who's his puppet master, who's the new emperor. And so they are moving forward with their agenda. Finn and Poe get away, so they're chasing after them. Rey gets discovered. Someone tells Kylo that there is this woman who was resisting, and he says, "What woman?" He goes crazy, loses his mind. And so basically it's this big fight against these people. Han Solo gets brought back into it with Princess Leia. They're working for the rebellion. They're trying to get what they can. Rey's trying to figure out who she is. She meets this woman. I cannot remember her name. She's the orange alien. And so she gives her the lightsaber of Luke, and she says,
Maz Kanata.
For you. Maz Kanata, thank you. Gives her the lightsaber of Luke to Rey. And that's the main part of this movie. They're trying to find where's Luke at so that we can get help to defeat the First Order. No one knows where it's at. Kylo Ren's trying to figure out where Luke's at too, because he's got some unfinished business. And so Rey mixed up with Finn. They have this awesome meetup where they're getting away from the stormtroopers. They happen to find the Millennium Falcon, and they're taking off. And they meet up with the rebellion. Han Solo's like, "Oh, that's my ship," blah, blah, blah. So they get there. Force Awakens, these movies are so hard to do in just a few minutes. And so then eventually they meet up, and they're going to fight against the First Order because they have a new thing called Starkiller Base that can take out 5 planets at a time, which is one shot. And they go to the planet where it's at. Kylo Ren is fighting. They have taken Rey, trying to figure out who she is. She's able to use her mind power. She's able to learn the Force very quickly to escape. Finn and Han Solo and Chewie is there. Kylo Ren is the son of Han Solo, so they meet up. They have a conversation. Han Solo is trying to bring Kylo Ren back to the good side. Kylo Ren can't handle it, kills his dad. Han Solo dies. Chewbacca yells. They get off the planet just in time. But before they do, we have this awesome battle scene where you have Finn, you have Rey, you have Kylo Ren, and they're fighting against each other. Rey and Finn are obviously on the same side. Finn holds his own for a second, then he falls down, getting hit in the back, and so Rey fights against Kylo Ren in an epic battle. She starts to learn about the Force, and she overpowers him. Chewbacca comes and saves them as Poe Dameron is leading the pilots to try to destroy Starkiller Base like a new Death Star. They're able to do that, and they're all able to escape before that planet blows up. And that's the end of The Force Awakens. They get the plans to Princess Leia. They find out where Luke's at. Rey goes there with Chewbacca in the Millennium Falcon. They find Luke, and that's where the movie ends.
Okay, Last Jedi. Last Jedi picks up right where the episode 7 wow drops off. Basically Rey gives Luke Skywalker his lightsaber. He grabs it, looks at it, and then tosses it, throws it away, which was the biggest slap in the face to everybody. Like, what is going on here? In any event, he doesn't want anything to do with the Jedi Order. That's why it's called The Last Jedi. He believes the Jedi must end. He has seen the flaws of the Jedi. He's upset and become an embittered old man, so to speak, because his last student, Kylo Ren, who is his nephew, by the way, it's Han Solo and Princess Leia's son, turned on him. Okay, he felt that he was being manipulated by the dark side. He had felt a darkness inside of Kylo that that he had never felt before when he went to try to confront Kylo. Okay, he felt weak for a second, and when he pulled out his lightsaber, Kylo Ren sensed it, used his powers to bury Luke Skywalker in some rubble and escape. Then Kylo Ren kills all his other students and end up leaving, going to the dark side. So in a sense, Luke kind of pushed Kylo Ren to the dark side. In any event, going back to modern times now, on the other end we have Poe, who's on the plane, and they are trying to take down a juggernaut, which is just a super sky destroyer. So he goes and he's able to take out this juggernaut with some fancy flying. However, it was at the expense of a lot of people who end up dying, and the captain of the ship is upset. In the midst of this battle, Princess Leia is blasted out into space by her own son, Kylo Ren. He tries to kill his mom. He already killed his dad, who is Han Solo. He tries to kill his mom, but he can't do it. So actually somebody else blasts the cockpit, and she gets blown out into space. Then she uses her force powers, gets herself back into the ship. Mind you, she was sucked into space, but she's exhausted. Her powers are drained, so she's no longer in command. There's another lady. I cannot remember her name. She's in command. She's number 2. The whole time, Poe Dameron is saying, listen, we have to go on the offensive. We need to go to the space. We need to do this, and that. And she's telling them, I appreciate your comments, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep them chasing us. We're a smaller fleet. They're a bigger fleet. They can't track us. However, they're starting to track them even when they jump to light speed. So that the whole time, it's basically, or the whole movie, I should say, it's the ships being chased down and one by one slowly falling to the new First Order. Okay, and Poe tries to escape, or does escape, along with Finn, who's also on the ship. He's recovered from his injury, to this gambling planet so that they could get a code breaker, because what they're trying to do is trying to get they're trying to get this code breaker so that they could get on the ship and disable this machine that's helping them track them through light speed. So they end up getting the code breaker, getting on the ship. The code breaker ends up to be a scumbag, turns on them. They end up getting captured. Then they end up escaping. If you find out the whole time that it was a diversion on the part of the general that's taken over for Leia, since Leia is been incapacitated, and she was just biding time. That's why she was letting them destroy all those other ships, because they were trying to get to where their new base was going to be. However, once they get there, all the ships are getting destroyed. They get there, and they're able to hide in this old bunker. So here comes Kylo Ren along with the First Order. They get down to the planet, and in the midst of this planet, they're going to get massacred. Luke Skywalker now appears, and he's gonna battle the entire First Order, Kylo Ren and all these ships. So they blast Luke Skywalker like 1,000 times, not a scratch on him. Kylo Ren can't figure it out what's going on, so he goes down to battle Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker has him basically sweating, and then Kylo Ren, out of desperation, takes a swing and realizes that he cannot hurt Luke. It's not really Luke, it's a force ghost or a force projection. Luke is just using his mind. He's still on this island where he had secluded himself in self-imposed exile, and he was just biding time, similar to the general, so that the Rebel Alliance can continue to escape and get out of there. They do escape through back of this cave, and they end up leaving. Rey uses the most impressive force power she's done so far, clears a way for them to escape all these rocks. They get on the ship and end up leaving. Leia is alive, and she wakes up. And at the end of this film, they are now once again together. We're talking about Poe, Rey, and Finn, who we first had together in episode 7.
All right. So, episode 9, for anyone that's still watching, Rise of the Skywalker. So, we have this movie where there's a whole lot going on. I'm not sure how I'll be able to do it, but I'll try. So, basically, the gist of this movie is Rey is trying to find out where Kylo Ren's at, and Kylo Ren finds out that the Emperor all along somehow is back alive as a clone or something like that. He's pulling all the strings all along. He's on this planet Exodal or something like that, and we find out that the Emperor is Rey's grandfather, and that's why she's got so much power, that she's not a clone or anything like that. And so Kylo is trying to find Rey so that they can bring her to the Emperor and turn her to the bad side, where the Emperor, that's always his plan. And so in the meantime, they're trying to find this artifact. This artifact is supposed to lead them to where, I guess, the Emperor is at, or Kylo's at. I can't remember what the artifact is for. Do you remember what the artifact is for?
It's a Sith hologram or something like that. It's got information on it, and I forget
I think
exactly
it's like
what
some kind of tracking device to be able to find the Sith. I don't know. I can't remember. And so we have our heroes back together. They're on this hunt, and they're trying to find this artifact. And C-3PO's there, and BB-8, all this kind of stuff. And they eventually, we have them meet up with these other people that are former stormtroopers like Finn that have escaped, and they get to this planet that has all this water, and the Death Star has been broken up there. Rey goes on there. She's able to find this artifact. I forget what they call it. And she kind of battles with her inner demons with Dark Rey, and she meets up with Kylo Ren, and they have this whole battle. In the meantime, with all these movies they've been leading up to this relationship, this romance, this chemistry between the two of them, but they're also rivals, and so they're trying to bring each other to either side. Rey is battling with Kylo. She gets the upper hand. She kind of uses a little bit of her frustration to get him with her lightsaber to where he's dying. She feels bad for what she did, so she's able to use some healing powers to bring him back to life. That gesture, along with the conversation in his mind with his dad, makes him turn to the good side. After all, he's frustrated with the Empire. The Emperor. He's frustrated with everything that's going on, and so he throws his lightsaber, and he becomes Ben Solo once again. Rey ends up into the clutches. She goes to the planet where Luke was at before he died. He talks to her, tells her, "Hey, just be a Jedi. It's okay. Basically, forget everything I taught you in the last one. I'm not mad anymore, and you got to face the Emperor." She goes there to face the Emperor. The Kylo Ren's going with her, and there's so much going on with Poe and Finn and trying to get other people to battle this new huge army that the Emperor has. I mean, just talking about it kind of makes it sound a little ridiculous, but she meets up face to face with the Emperor. Kylo's there. He has this awesome battle where he's fighting off the Knights of Ren, and they get face to face with the Emperor. The Emperor is overpowering both of them. He's taking all their life force. Rey decides to close her eyes and use the force of both lightsabers and kills the Emperor. Kylo Ren is basically near the death, and so she goes to once again force heal him, but then it takes everything out of her to do so. And then he returns the favor. They kiss, and then he dies because it took everything he had. Princess Leia had died in this movie, and we have all of the rebellion back together celebrating the end of the Darth Vader, or the Emperor, and his new army and his new fleet. They destroy all of that. There's a bunch of nonsense with the First Order that we don't really care too much about, but that's basically the gist. They don't do much with Finn's character. He has something he wants to tell Rey, but we never find out what that is. We assume that he starts to feel like he has the Force. That might be what it is, but they never reveal that, so that was kind of frustrating. And that ends the Star Wars saga, where it kind of ends on a sour note. Now, we know we said 30 minutes or less. This is more than 30 minutes, but we're talking about 11 movies. So 11 movies in 55 minutes. That's 5 minutes per movie. That's not too bad. If you did not know much about Star Wars, and now you know more than you can handle, you probably can't handle the information. Let us know if you like this quick review. We want to do something for May the 4th, and we hope that you guys are all being safe. And what do you want to say, Gabe?
Yeah, I completely forgot to mention that the Emperor, or the new big bad, Supreme Leader Snoke, who everybody was trying to figure out who is he, who is he, who is he. He gets killed like within the first 20, 30 minutes, I would say, of actually it's about halfway
Like
through the
hour,
movie.
hour and a half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's nobody, okay, which is so frustrating. They don't even reveal who he was, how he came to power, or
He was just
whatever.
some clone that the
So
Emperor
when you're talking
created.
about, yeah, when you're talking about the Emperor, you were talking about the original Emperor, the Emperor that was Darth Vader's. We're talking about Palpatine, all the way from episode 1. So that's what really glues all these movies together. It's the original Emperor, and Rey happens to be his granddaughter.
And for anyone that's a big Star Wars fan that's listening to this, we know we made some mistakes. We know we forgot some names. We know we didn't really do this any justice. This was Gabe's idea. We wanted to give all 11 movies in just a short amount of time, get them all in there, something special. Like he said, cliff notes, just to help you pass that course. It's not going to give you everything. And if we made mistakes, then we do apologize. We have no script. We're just going from our minds. And
Okay, let's be real. They're not gonna get a B minus, but with this, you'll at least get that passing 70. Okay, 71. C baby, you're good to go.
our high hopes. We hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully, I'll be able to edit some of it out so it's not so long. But we hope you enjoy May the 4th. It's a big day for Star Wars fans. And, no Disney Plus. We're not going to hashtag you on it. We're not going to give you those rights and sign our life over because we mentioned May the 4th be with you. But we do mention that. We hope you enjoy Star Wars. If you don't, check them out. It's pretty interesting. And until next time.
May the force be with you.